Hi, hello. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if this is your first time. My name is Oyinda, and I'm going to be talking about all the books I read in September. I had a pretty ambitious TBR. Did I read everything? No, but as I was making it, I did know that I wasn't going to be able to read all of this. But I did read quite a few. I read. You think that I would check this beforehand, but I think I read 9 books. Anyway, and I'm going to be going in the order of how I read them. Yes, that's what I meant to say. Anyway, so the first book I read is Red Rising by Pierce Brown, and I'm just going to be like going through my notes. And so basically, I feel like I've talked about this book quite a bit for some reason, but anyway, this is basically about there's a stratified society, so basically they're divided into colors, and golds are on top, and the main character we're following, Darrow, is a red, and basically reds are like the bottom of the society, and there's lots of misinformation going on, and basically something tragic happens to Darrow, and then he discovers that there's a bunch of misinformation, and he basically goes on to I won't say lead, but then he basically becomes part of a rebellion against the gods, basically. I will say though that this first book, because we kind of start like that, but then we basically spend a year with him. We read like the second half of this novel, basically we're following him at his first year at this type of war college, because he basically gets like remade into a gold, and then we spend I feel like that might be a bit disappointing, because you might go into this thinking, oh, you see more like intrigue and trying to break them up from the inside, but they were just following war games at this college. So I guess I should set the expectation. And also the treatment of women is not perfect. Like there's a lot of, it's not graphic or it's not described, but to like differentiate how there's bad people, sort of like assault against women, kind of is okay, so these are the bad guys, you get, so that can be a bit, but all in all, I enjoyed this, although I do see that obviously it's not perfect and there are like some flaws, but I enjoyed the world with the colors. I don't know, I guess I just really like a stratified society, and I found that like really intriguing because I read it in 2 cities, so I was really this thing. Also, this is just like a really random note, I just like counting, should I say plot twists, but like when I see a plot twist coming, I'm always like, yeah. So I think I'm getting better at that. There was one like particular person, I was like, haha, I saw that coming, I'm so smart. But yeah, we also see like a bit of propaganda here, because like I said, there's a bunch of misinformation, and yeah, we see like genetic modification, like, you know, the reds and the golds. I really do look forward to reading book 2 and seeing like more, because everyone says like, from what I've seen, like book 2 is even much better. So yeah, I did enjoy this. I think in book 2 we really see like him like working on the inside to try to destroy the corrupt system. So I really look forward to that. But yeah, and I feel like even from this book we see that there's like, this world is really massive and there's so much to explore, so I'm really looking forward to that. So yeah, that was Red Rising. I would take it to go. Yeah, so anyway, then the next book I read is Brightburn. This is the 3rd book in, sorry, give me a second. This is the 3rd book in the Conquer saga, so I can't really like say much about the plot, but this is basically, we're following a female version of Vlad the Impaler, and so we're basically following Vlad the Impaler, technically Mehmed the Conqueror, who conquers Constantinople, and Vlad's brother Radu, but then obviously Vlad is made ladder, so Vlad is made a female in this. I think this is the 3rd book. I think I actually really enjoyed the way this all wrapped up, to be honest, because I thought it would go a certain way, and while it did, but it really didn't, because I don't know how much of the plot I can say now without spoiling. I don't think I can, to be honest, but anyway, this was one of my favorite. I think this is definitely one of my favorite YA. I haven't really read a lot of YA historical fiction, but I really enjoyed this. I really liked how like the characters were really flawed. Like you could, because Lada is a very strong, very, you know, ambitious, never gives up, but you see how stubborn she is and how her stubbornness is like a major flaw. Obviously, you can tell she's my favorite character. And yeah, it didn't really end the way that I thought it would. And you know, I really liked how, because just like Vlad the Impaler, like to certain people he would be seen as a monster, but then even with certain actions that Lada, who's basically Vlad the Impaler, carries out, these people are just like, whoa, this is a lot. I think this is going too far. But then at the end of the day, you can see like her motivations were, you know, she had good intentions. And so I really like that. Like it wasn't just like black and white, like, oh, she's a monster, or she's like a devil and stuff like that. And even like all the other characters, we still understood their motivations with like why they were doing what they were doing. I think this was like a very interesting exploration of what could have happened in those times. Obviously, this is a retelling, so you know, not every, again, Vlad the Impaler, a woman, no. So obviously there was like some liberties taking, but all in all, and I really think it like focuses on like ambition and like how much is too much, like how far is too far when trying to achieve your goals. Because we definitely follow that, and obviously she see that she has this like pure goal, but then the lengths to which she goes, it's just like, at what point are we going too far? But yeah, so I really enjoyed it. I like the way everything came together, and yeah, I would recommend it definitely. YA, young adult historical fiction. Yeah, it was really good. I would recommend. Then the next book I read, sorry, I'm just looking at my notes, because once I read, to be honest, I don't want to say like it leaves my head. Like obviously I do remember, but like I definitely need to go through my notes because it's been a while, and I also have school. So yeah. So the next book I read is The Weight of Blood. This is basically a Carrie retelling, but Carrie is black. So that's the shortest way I can say it. This was a really interesting read. I really like the way like she handled like racism, and it wasn't like, oh, so black and white, and there were like definitely like shades of gray within it. Like my two favorite characters, what's his name? Oh my god, I don't remember. But then so he's black, but then he basically like not like hides that part of his identity, but like doesn't really associate with other people because he wants to be accepted by like these white people. And we see how he like allows them to get away with certain things because he just wants to fit in and he doesn't want to cause any trouble. And obviously he's liked because he's a star football player. Yeah, and so he like kind of ignores the subtle things that they say because, you know, he wants to fit in and he doesn't want to have any problems. And we also see, I think, his girlfriend who, yeah, she claims like she wants to help, you know, black people, or she wants to, but she does things basically for her own selfish interest. I saw like as if she really cares. So I really like those two characters. Actually, I think these are my favorites. I mean, obviously I did like Carrie as well, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, do I need to give a summary of Carrie? I don't think so. But I haven't even read the original source material. And obviously the themes are different because Carrie basically, so this story, did I actually give a synopsis? But no, so basically she's white passing, and then it's basically discovered that she's mixed, and then we go from there, and obviously the bullying and everything until she basically snaps. So yeah, although I also, oh yeah, I actually want to recommend the audiobook. I think the audiobook was so good because it basically, we're following two timelines. We're following what happens with, actually, because her name isn't Carrie, because I've been calling her Carrie, but that's not her name. I mean, it is a Carrie retelling, but still, what's her name? What's her actual name? Guess I'm actually it started with an M. I'm sure. Madison. Yes, told you it started with an M. Anyway, so yeah, we follow Maddie in the past, and then we follow, so there's this podcast, and they're basically trying to figure out what happened and what led up to the events of that, when she basically snaps. Why is English so hard for me today? Anyway, so we follow her. So yeah, we follow the two timelines, and like I really recommend the audiobook for this one because I listened to the audiobook and I read, yeah, they're different voices, and then yeah, it was really good. So I would recommend. And oh yeah, their names, it was Kendrick and Wendy. You guys like just this my head. Although I do, so there's the, we call the main bad character. I really wish more happened to her. She should have suffered more because she was very annoying. That's my only problem. Like I feel like I wanted more from her snapping. Like I think I wanted like more violence and more gore. I don't know what that says about me, but I was like, no, more anger. But apart from that, I really enjoyed it. I don't know why I thought it would be scarier. I don't know if Carrie itself, the original, was even like really scary. I guess probably not. But then I felt in my head I would be like scared. It was interesting, but then I was reading it like, oh, as a spooky Rex. So there is that. But the podcast element was also really good as well. So The Weight of Blood. Yeah, I would recommend. Then the next book I read is Velocity Weapon by what's her name? I will find it. Megan O'Keefe. Yes. Wait. Also, I'm really bad at summaries, so I always check and then I just tell you the summary, because if not, I just think that I am going to waste your time. So basically, we follow this main character, and she's alone on a spaceship, and we find out that her planet has basically been destroyed. And yeah, we follow. I don't want to say any more because it will be a spoiler, and so I don't want to. I want you to discover on your own. But anyway, yeah, I really like this one. I also think that this would be like a good entry point into sci-fi, if not read sci-fi, because I don't think it's too confusing where it's like a lot of terms are being thrown at you. I mean, I do understand some things, but it wasn't like detrimental to the point where I couldn't like follow what was going on. And Sanda, she's such a capable badass, like so smart, yeah. And yeah, she's a capable badass basically. As you can tell, I really like this character. And so for this book, we're following 3 main POVs. And while I liked one, I liked all, but I had a favorite, which was Sanda, because live, laugh, love Sanda. So yeah, and I really liked how we all came together, because when we were following the team, I was just like, how are these? There's one in particular, like, how are these people related? How is it all going to come together? And I think it came together. Like the middle part, I was just like, it started moving so fast. I was just like, oh, okay. Because I feel like the first few, it's a bit of, not like a slow, it's not slow, but it's definitely slower paced. Because we're getting to know the different POV characters and all that. And then when it all comes together, it's just like lightning speed. So that was really fun. And also like the directions that this book went in, I was just like, I can't wait to read the next book. I know I say that, but I haven't read it yet. But the direction it went, I didn't see it coming. And so there's so much more to do. And yeah, I also think, what's the point of the disability, right? Because Sanda, she loses one leg, basically. Yeah, so she's disabled. And I think it was done in a way where it's not like, oh, it's like she has to make accommodations, but it doesn't stop her from like doing, like it affects her life, but it doesn't stop her from doing what she needs to do. And we see her work around it basically. So yeah, I really like this. And at the heart of it was just these 2 siblings who would do anything for each other, which I love. Anyway, yeah. So that's Velocity Weapon by Megan O'Keefe. You should read it. The next book I read is a favorite. So that's Days of Blood and Starlight by Laini Taylor. So this is the sequel to Daughter of Smoke and Bone, and this is part of the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy. Yes, it's a trilogy. Yeah, that's what it's called. Anyway, basically Laini Taylor can do no wrong in my eyes. I don't think there's anything she can write that I would hate or dislike at this point. Again, Strange the Dreamer duology is one of my favorites, and I think it'll be one of my favorites for a really long time. And yeah, so this I really like. In this book, we really focused. We got to see more of the supporting characters. So I need to give a brief summary of Daughter Smoke and Bone then. Yes. So in Daughter Smoke and Bone, we basically follow Karu, who is this art student in Prague, but then she has like this double life where she runs errands for these type of monsters. And basically one day something happens and she's unable to communicate with her monster family, and she basically goes on like this discovery journey, and we basically find out that there's more to Karu than we think. And so I definitely enjoyed the first book. I feel like it was like more of a setup, and so things really like move forward here. And yeah, I really love the supporting characters for this one as well, particularly Zuzana, I think that's how I call it. It's just like, And yeah, we really see like the consequences of the characters' actions. And this book is definitely like darker than the first, because in this book I kind of dealing with like there's a war going on, and we basically see like it's pretty grim, some very harrowing stuff, nothing too like you won't be able to read it, but it's definitely significantly darker than in tone than the first book. So yeah, and at the same time it's very weird. I don't know how she does it, because I don't want to say it's whimsical, but the worlds that she creates, like there's so much beauty, like it just sounds so wonderful, even though there's like horrific things going on. I don't know how she's able to balance it, but she does. And I think something that I think I even noticed this in Showing the Dreamer as well, like how there's always this theme of how like violence begets violence, and we see how like the cycles of violence and just in general like brutality of war, and we see the characters trying to, you know, to break these oppressive cycles and trying to find a better way. And yeah, this book has some of my favorite characters. Love Susanna and Mick. Amazing. Anyway, you should read it. Why haven't you read Daughter of Smoke and Bone? You have no reason not to. Anyway, so yeah, then the next book I read is Thistlefoot by GennaRose, Nethercott. Yes, anyway, I'll put it up there either way. So this book, I read this book for like 11 days, not because it was bad or anything. I don't know why. I read it for like a long period of time. It took a lot. Anyway, so although I think this book would even benefit from being binged. So yeah, but it's just I didn't read it as quickly as I usually would. But this was definitely an enjoyable read. I think the writing style will either break it or make it for you, because the writing style definitely leads into what people call purple prose, and depending on your taste, it might be too much for you. I definitely saw that, like, I can see that annoying some people. It didn't bother me. In fact, I did think there were even like lines that I highlighted where I was like, oh wow, this is like, there's this way she talks about how artists see the world the way it could be. I don't know, I just found, for me, the writing, but for you, depends. I feel like if you find that you don't like purple prose, I would say maybe avoid this one, because even the author in her acknowledgement says like, yeah, my writing is pretty purple, so you know that going into. But it was, so this is basically let's call it a loose Baba Yaga retelling somewhat. So basically we follow these two siblings, Isaac and Valentine, and they basically inherit a house with chicken legs. If you know the Baba Yaga myth, Baba Yaga has a house with chicken legs. And so yeah, they inherit it, and there's basically this dark shadow man, something like that, following them. And so they basically take the house on the road because they're doing a puppet show, and then this dark shadow man is following them, and then the plot just balloons from there. So yeah, I think I really liked how this book explored like the themes of like memory, and like how events have long-lasting effects, especially like we had a very heavy emphasis on generational trauma and how that can like basically generational trauma, and like obviously how it can affect you, and even like healing from that, and just like this emphasis on like storytelling and how like history should never be forgotten, and how important it is to learn our history. I really like the characters as well. Like there's one particular Isaac, oh my god, like be between like within each chapter I'd be like, I don't like him, but it's like, oh, I kind of get him, but then again he'd do something to piss me off, and it was just like back and forth, and it's like ugh. So yeah, but absolutely adore Valentine. She's the younger sibling, because the two siblings. Yeah, and again, I'm really a sucker for like complex family dynamics. I just love when, because the two siblings are estranged, and so I just love seeing that. I think I'll always be a sucker for that. And I liked how their relationship developed, because they're basically estranged, and we see them like come together again. And so yeah, I'm just seeing if there's anything in my notes to, yeah. And even I quite enjoyed the memories. And also we even have Thistlefoot, the house, as a narrator, and I guess the house is an unreliable narrator. I mean, the house literally tells you that I'm going to be lying to you, and deal with that. I reserve my right to lie to you. So yeah. Although with this book, again, because the way it's written, it almost feels like magical realism to me, where the magic is used as an exploration of theme rather than having like really set rules, because we never get an explanation for how certain things happen, but they just do. And so if that's type of thing that bothers you, I mean, it did, but it didn't take away from my enjoyment, because I guess while I was reading I could tell that this is not what it's like, a proper magic system. It's more so an exploration of theme and stuff. So just note that, because like when I'd be reading actually I'd be like, is this actually happening, or is this not? So yeah, if you, I think, read the prologue, I would say for this book, read the prologue. If you find the prologue intriguing, maybe continue, but if you find the prologue maybe annoying or somewhat pretentious, maybe stop, because yeah, it's, the writing is, it's very, very purple. So yeah, but if you read the prologue and continue, I think you should. I really liked, yeah, all in all, I guess I do like purple prose then. I guess that's what I'm learning, because the next book, oh no, there's another book I read which also had very purple prose, and I also kind of enjoyed that. It's not my favorite, but anyway. So anyway, moving on, we're going in the order in which I read, not that. Anyway, so the next book I read is Scythe by Neal Shusterman. Where is it? I also absolutely adore this. You know those books where you can tell from the first few pages that I'm going to like this. I am going to like this. I did. So basically in Scythe, we're following this world where there's no hunger, there's no more disease, anything. Like all the knowledge that can be known has been known. We have this AI who's controlling everything and in charge and actually good. And so basically the only thing that humanity, in fact, humanity has even conquered death, but then due to reasons, so population is, you know, expanding, people are not dying, so then there has to be a system in place to, you know, keep population, you know, English, to keep the population below, because obviously finite resources, you know, so we have to keep the population at a certain number. And so we have Scythes, so this is their job, and we follow these two teenagers, Citra and Rowan, and they're basically chosen to be apprentices for a Scythe. And basically we just follow them in their apprenticeship journey, basically, and they have to learn how to take a life, basically. And I really liked following the utopia, because we see this world, this is supposed to be perfect world, but we see the cracks in the foundation. And I really like how the book would contemplate, like, oh, if everything, you know, that can be known, like if you've learned everything, you know, like what makes life worth living, you know, like if you know that you could live for like how long, basically, like there's no rush, there's no urgency to do anything. And so I just really liked how, you know, what am I trying to say? Yes, so basically, because there's no sense of urgency, because these people are basically immortal and stuff. And I just liked, yeah, I really liked it. I liked how, I'm so sorry, and even within the Scythe dom, we see like there's a clash of ideologies. And you know, some people think there's a certain way to take a life, some people think it's like this very secret thing and should be treated as such, and some people like, oh, you know, we should enjoy it, we should take lives. And I like that. And basically we see, even because the Scythes are basically above the law, and I was just like, and I think we should anyone be above the law, you know, because they have a law unto themselves. And I just, yeah, I really did dig it. Sorry, my thoughts are not very eloquent, but yes, I also really liked Citra and Rowan, and we see them care for each other. I like the characters, even the villain as well. The villain we follow, and I like how he's like a flamboyant villain. More of that. And also we see benevolent AI, like AI that's actually good. And also, again, there's a twist in here, and I'm so ashamed I didn't see it. Like when I was like, huh? Because I really thought, oh, I'm getting better, like, you know, plot twist. Like I was talking about Red Race, I was like, I saw that from like not a mile away, but, and then this one was just like, this was so obvious. What were you doing? Anyway, I really recommend Scythe, and I think it's really good. Again, also another, I'm not gonna say entry level sci-fi, but I think something that if you're looking to get into sci-fi, you should like, you could start here. I think it wouldn't like overwhelm you or be too like super complex. So yeah. Then the next book I read is Deathless by Catherynne Valente. This was another, I guess all in all, I'll say that I enjoyed it because I feel like if I never wanted to stop reading. So there's that. Like I feel like if I would have been like, oh, I want to DNF, or although if I really DNF. So that's true. But I never really felt that. And I always wanted to continue reading. So I would count that as a good sign that I actually somewhat enjoyed it. Although this is a very hard one to recommend. I don't know if I would. Because half the time I was reading, I was like, you know those books where you're like, is this real? Is this happening? Is this an imagination? This is a loose retelling. Loose, when I say loose, I mean very loose retelling of the death of the folktale, Russian folklore, the death of the Russian folktale, the death of Koshchei the Deathless. And basically Koshchei the Deathless is like a villain in Russian folklore. And so yeah, I guess the author wanted to answer the question of why. So basically in the folktale, Koshchei the Deathless is locked in Maria Morevna's basement, and I think she's kind of like a queen or something, and then she basically goes somewhere, I think, to settle a dispute or something, and then she tells her husband never to open the basement, and then her husband opens the basement, and then he frees Koshchei the Deathless, and then Koshchei takes Maria, and then Ivan has to, you know, get help and all that, and then save her. And so I guess the question she was trying to answer is why would he be in her basement? Although it isn't really the same. I mean, I guess the general plot beats are followed, but it's a very, very hard book to this thing. All I know is that she weaves in the Russian Revolution into the story as well, and it's very funny because you see like creatures of Russian folklore like domovie. I'm so sorry if I pronounced that correctly. Domovie, and they're basically these Russian folklore creatures, and they're saying like revolution statements, and it's just like okay, I guess. And yeah, I guess there's commentary on like the Russian Revolution, and especially the siege of Leningrad. There's a particular and the way she describes that is like very harrowing and very like, oh, you know. So I guess she's commentary, or like when you see the creatures spouting communist rhetoric, you're just like huh. So I guess know that if that sounds like something that would put you off, because like you think about it, it's like okay, I think you have to be really willing to like go along with it. Like again, half the time I was reading, I was like, what is happening here? If I wanted to sell this to you, yeah, I would tell you that, oh, this is a book where the villain gets the girl. But that would be a very, very big lie. Not like a big lie. Well, that would be so shallow compared to all that the book is trying to do. So no, all I would say is that like certain things were happening. I was like, why is this happening? I really didn't get what this was adding to like the plot. Although to be fair, I don't think I understood half the plot. So yeah. But you know, I think it also deals with like the thought of like, are certain things inevitable? Like if something is inevitable, why try? Or you know, try to like fight against fate. And especially with Koshchei and Maria's relationship, when we're following this, like there's going to be an inevitable end, and so it's just like, should you try, should you not? So yeah, it's kind of, I guess, a love story, I guess. Yeah, but I liked the writing in the sense of it's definitely also very leans very purple prose, very, very full of metaphors and lots of imagery and all that. But I liked it in the sense that it felt very full of subtext. So in the sense that I had to like pay attention, and like if you read it, you could infer certain things. And so I like that it wasn't like all spelled out for you, and it really did feel like a fairy tale. Like it was written like a fairy tale in the sense like things would happen in threes and stuff like you find in a fairy tale basically. So yeah, all this to say that if any of what I said sounds remotely interesting to you, maybe you should pick it up. If anything that I said discouraged you, or it doesn't sound like your vibe, maybe don't read it. Honestly, that's all I can tell you. So yeah, that's Deathless by Catherynne Valente. Then the next book I read is The Helm of Midnight. So in this world, there are so there are these masks, and basically you can imbue these masks. They're like death masks. So when someone is dying, they can imbue whatever special skill that they had into the mask. And so if someone wears the mask, you get that special skill, although there are echoes of the person's like personality in the mask as well. And so we basically follow in this one. They're like, yeah, so basically in this world there's this famous serial killer, and he has a death mask. Well, let's say I have to say it was me. Anyway, so there's this serial killer's death mask, and then somebody takes it, and they basically start killing the same way the serial killer did. And so it's up to this like detective who are following her, trying to solve this murder. I mean, a serial killer in like a fantasy world, I mean, like, I don't know, if that doesn't sell you, I honestly don't know what will. Anyway, it was really, really, really good. It was like a really interesting read. It wasn't too gory or like super graphic. There's like only one scene where I was like, ugh, that's kind of yeah. But I really liked how this book explored like grief and fear and guilt, and how guilt like can shape you, and how, you know, vulnerable you are in this, like especially grief, and how that can be used to manipulate you. And yeah, I really liked how we understand the serial, because we follow the serial killer as a POV at this point, and we see how he got to this point. And while the book never obviously like says, oh, you know, just because something traumatic happened to you, that makes it okay, but I really liked how we saw it wasn't like just very not straightforward, that's not the word I would use, but yeah, we just see how he becomes like that, and we understand his motivations and what happens. And I feel like the world building was super intriguing as well, again with the masks and everything. And I really like the sibling dynamic at the end of it. I don't know, I just really like pointing out sibling dynamics. I don't know why, I just really like sibling dynamics. And I like that the mystery was complex, and I couldn't really like figure out what was going on until like the very end. There were lots of layers to it. That's what I would say. It was a lot of layers coming together. We followed 3 POVs in this one as well, and yeah, seeing how all of them are related and how all of them come together was super satisfying. So yes, if you're looking for something spooky, I would recommend this. And the last book I read in this month was The Bone Orchard. This was also another sort of weird book. I feel like the theme of this month is going out of my comfort zone, because I read quite a lot of books that I don't think I would normally read, and it was an interesting experience. So The Bone Orchard is, how do I even give it a summary? So you know what, I'm going to get this thing, because in this world, I guess, we're following this courtesan try to solve the murder of the emperor, basically. And yeah, we're following a courtesan try to solve the murder of the emperor. That's all I can tell you really without spoiling it. So because the emperor basically forces her to solve his murder. And yeah, so for this one, the world building is you basically get thrown into the world. Like she would, because the author is a female, so like she would just say something. I'm just like, what is that? How does that work? No explanation. You get an explanation much later in the book, obviously, but for the first like 30 pages, I kind of struggled in the beginning of this one. I'm not going to lie to you, because I was just like, what is this? Like she just threw this random word, but what does that mean? What is this? And like, yeah, really, like I was struggling to put things like, what does this mean? How? Huh? And so, I mean, I would say, like, say stick with it. I found it rewarding, but I don't know. But basically, your hand is not held in this book, and terms are thrown at you, and you're just like, okay, I guess we'll figure out what this means. They're trying to use context and how it's, and yeah. But this book really dealt with like trauma and how we deal with trauma and the ways that people cope with trauma. And so I think that was like a really like interesting way she went about exploring this topic. So basically, like I said, we're trying to solve a murder, so obviously there's a murder mystery at the center of it. And yeah, there's a lot of court politics as well, a lot of sneaking, because trying to figure out what is happening. Yeah, I liked it. I can say that I liked it. It's not the easiest book to recommend, I think, but I think if you know that, oh, you know, I'm going to be confused for a bit, I think go into it. And even like, to be honest, even at the end, there's still a couple of concepts where I'm like, although I did, like I was like, I'm still not really sure I know how this worked. I don't know. I guess I'm okay with being confused, but if you're not, or I didn't mind it too much. It didn't like completely rob my enjoyment. Although I'm thinking about it now, like at the end, I'm just like, there are a couple of things where I still don't kind of know how that worked. But yeah, I really like Charm as a character, and this book had like one of the most frustrating characters I've read in a long time. Like, I deeply hate this character. I can't tell you this character because I think that would be like a spoiler. And I don't, yeah, but one of like my most frustrating characters, like, bro, it was very frustrating character. But yeah, this is all the books. I mean, okay, I did start House of Salt and Sorrows this month. I mean, by the time this is going up, I mean, I've already finished it. But yeah, I started it but I finished it in October, so I'm not going to count it. But yeah, that one started, I mean, anyway, it was also an interesting read. I would also recommend that. Anyway, so yeah, these are all the books I read in September. Definitely going out of my comfort zone. Definitely was some of the reasons I'm just like, but I'm glad I stuck with them, and I'm glad I read them, and you know, just opening and broadening my horizons. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you like, subscribe, share if you want to, and I hope I see you next time, and hopefully maybe some of these books, any of them, pique your interest and you give them a go. And please let me know, if you do, let me know how you found them. And yeah, okay, until next time, bye.